Chapter 447 Information about the Heavenly Soul Empire. When Shu Juju first laid eyes on the high-altitude aerial surveillance Soul tool, she couldn't shift her gaze away anymore. As the highest-ranked individual in charge of the Douluo Empire's intelligence department, she reported directly to the Emperor of the Douluo Empire. She had put in a lot of effort for the Sun Moon Empire's own aerial surveillance Soul tools. She had managed to obtain ordinary aerial surveillance Soul tools before. However, those Soul tools had self-destruction mechanisms installed within them. Once they were dismantled, they would blow apart. The Douluo Empire had suffered a lot because of this. Thus, it was also her first time seeing this high-altitude aerial surveillance Soul tool in front of her. She was completely astonished. Before Huo Yua brought it back, Shu Juju didn't expect Huo Yua to be so quick, even though she had high hopes for him. The value of such a Soul tool couldn't be measured on the surface. It would have an important effect on developing the Douluo Empire's expertise in Soul tools. Duke, are you saying that Wang Yiheng was killed by Huo Yua and his comrades? Shu Juju's voice sounded more high-pitched. The White Tiger Duke recounted everything he had seen earlier to her. Daihao nodded. Not to even mention that Shu Juju was in disbelief. He would also be unconvinced if he didn't witness it personally. A few Soul Sages and Soul Emperors actually managed to kill a Class 9 Soul Engineer who was also a titled Douluo. At the same time, the Empyrean Blaze, which was ranked 12th among Class 9 Soul tools, was also almost destroyed. Such an outcome wouldn't be surprising if a few titled Douluo were responsible for it. However, how old were Huo Yua and the rest? Their average age might not even be 20 yet. These talents from Shrek Academy demonstrated their strength by performing another miracle. At the same time, they proved their value to all the powerful individuals from the Douluo Empire. Shu Juju was breathing hard and didn't make a sound for some time. She couldn't believe something like that had happened. Tonight was even less peaceful than the previous night. He really did it. His abilities. Shu Juju had always found Huo Yua very impressive. She had, on 2 occasions, witnessed Huo Yua's performances in the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Soul Dueling Tournament. In addition, she had even personally fought him before. However, it was only now that she discovered that her past understanding of him really belonged to the past. Right now, Huo Yua was beyond her domain of understanding. He was a Soul Sage that wasn't even 20 years old yet, but he was the one who led a kill mission against a titled Douluo. Duke, do you know how they did it? Shu Juju swallowed her saliva and asked with some difficulty. The same question was in heads of the other senior commanders from the Douluo Empire. Dai Yueheng and Dai Luolai were standing behind Daihao right now. They had also received news of what happened immediately. Dai Yueheng was now very perplexed. He was also from Shrek Academy, and was also a top-performing student in Shrek Academy's inner courtyard. However, he was also in disbelief right now. He clearly knew that neither he nor the representative team he had formed with Ma Xiaotao could possibly accomplish something like this. They were at least 5 years older than Huo Yua and the rest, but their overall abilities were far behind. Daihao sighed and replied, I only witnessed what happened at the end. However, I believe that Yua and the rest took turns to attack throughout the entire fight. They managed to unleash everyone's fighting strength to the extreme through an effective rhythm. This caused Wang Yiheng's power to be continually drained. He only unleashed his full power at the end. Among all of them, 4 played very crucial roles. They are Shu Sanqi, Zhang Nanan, Huo Yuao, and Ji Juiken. He recounted everything that he had seen. When they watched from far earlier, they managed to catch hold of Shu Sanqi unleashing his golden swan moose domain before using his turtle god strike to neutralize the Empyrean blazing ball. After that, it was Zhang Nanan's soft bone lock and invincible golden body, as well as Huo Yuao's all-out attack. Huo Yuao's palm strike was the most crucial. The rest were only weakening Wang Yiheng, but Huo Yuao's strike completely destroyed Wang Yiheng's Empyrean blaze and dealt him a fatal blow. I heard that it was Huo Yuao's self-invented soul skill. It even contains the power of his emotions. It should be a self-invented soul skill that's a combination of his soul and spiritual power. When he unleashed that strike, I could sense a weird force field around his body. I was even unwittingly drawn in. Even though it was nighttime, it felt as if the sky had changed color when he unleashed that strike. It's just that everything seemed to have been turned into nothingness just as he unleashed his strike. A beam of red light glowed from Wang Yiheng's body. If I'm not wrong, that beam of red light should be for protective purposes. However, it was crushed by Huo Yuao's attack before Wang Yiheng was hit. Wang Yiheng's Empyrean blaze lost the majority of its control after he was struck. After that, there seemed to be a spear that shot out from Huo Yuao's head, which penetrated his skull and dealt him a heavy injury. At that point, Wang Yiheng's injuries were already very serious. Then, Ji Juiken appeared and used his sword to stab the wound that Huo Yua had created. This fully ended Wang Yiheng's life. What I noticed was that they coordinated very well with one another, unleashing wave after wave of attacks. They complemented one another very well. I figured that there must be a control-type soul master among them. After that, it was Huo Yua's attack. There wasn't any evident soul power undulations when he unleashed his attack. However, I could clearly sense that his greatest fighting strength was unleashed at that moment. It was the key to killing Wang Yiheng. After listening to the White Tiger Duke's analysis, the titled Douluo that had also witnessed everything all nodded in agreement. Just like the White Tiger Duke had mentioned, Huo Yua seemed to have fused with heaven and earth in that state. It was also his palm strike that completely defeated Wang Yiheng. Even Wang Yiheng wouldn't have expected that. They were able to succeed partly due to Wang Yiheng's own complacency. Otherwise, why didn't he use his invincible barrier and soul protective barrier? He must have been very confident in his own attack. It was a pity that his confidence was a reason for his demise. Shu Juju was stunned and muttered to herself, Yuao, I didn't expect you to reach such a level already. Duke, if you're talking about a control-type soul master, that person must be Huo Yuao. The first time I met him, when he was only 12 or 13 years old, he was already a control-type soul master. His spiritual detection can band his teammates together, and he can share accurate information about the enemy with his teammates. This is very effective in counteracting the fighting strength of the enemy. Dai Yueheng should be the most aware of this. The White Tiger Duke turned his attention towards his son, and Dai Yueheng immediately nodded and replied, Her Highness is right. When I first competed in the soul dueling tournament with Huo Yuao, he always appeared as a control-type soul master. His spiritual detection is very strong. It should be even stronger now than it was before. The White Tiger Duke nodded, and there was an awed look on his face. No wonder he's the future master of the Sea Gods Pavilion. No wonder he can become the youngest elder of Shrek Academy at such a tender age. Shu Juju asked, White Tiger Duke, what should we do next? A cold look flashed across the White Tiger Duke's eyes, and he said, Hang Wang Yiheng's corpse on a flagpole outside the base for everyone to see. At the same time, I'll need you to send some people to bring the high-altitude aerial surveillance soul tool back for research purposes. Your Highness. Okay. Shu Juju immediately acknowledged his words. Huo Yua wasn't interested in the guesses or arrangements of the Douluo Empire. When he returned into his tent, he immediately entered a cultivation state. His soul power circulated. Although he was greatly drained earlier, his last attack through the golden dragon spear had helped to replenish him by absorbing some of Wang Yiheng's immense soul power. Wang Yua's golden dragon spear was terrifying in the sense that it could absorb the life energy and soul power of the enemy to replenish the fighting strength of its owner. Although Huo Yua didn't fully inherit her abilities, he was much more complementary to the golden dragon spear after Wang Yua's sacrifice. He was even more drained in terms of his spiritual power, especially after he was subjected to the side effects of the Haodong palm. Right now, his mind was filled with the figure of Wang Donga. The pain brought about by his yearning for her could only be understood by him. He couldn't focus even after sitting on his bed for a long time. For some reason, he missed her even more today. Perhaps it was because his palm strike had unleashed his greatest fighting strength. Actually, Huo Yua knew that the recoil from Wang Yiheng's body after he attacked had hurt him. If this were the past, he might have lost his arm. His attack had well and truly drained all his strength. However, he possessed a part of the golden dragon's power since he had fused with Wang Yua. His strength and physical tenacity were much greater than before. This was why he felt extreme guilt towards Wang Yua at the same time as he missed Wang Donga. These two emotions kept on corroding his mind and spiritual sea. Under such a circumstance, even his 4 spirits were of no use to him. He could only handle this by himself. Huo Yua plopped onto his bed and shut his eyes tightly. He looked very pale and seemed like he couldn't hold on anymore. He really looked like he couldn't hold on anymore. His yearning for Wang Donga was too immense. It overwhelmed him completely. Donga, are you really alive? He actually always had a thought in his mind. What should he do if the sect and vice-sect leader of the Clear Sky sect were only telling him lies? This was what he feared. Even though he tried his best to steer away from such thinking, he would be overwhelmed with fear every time he had such a thought. Being unable to see Wang Donga forever, what could possibly be more terrifying than that? Donga, Donga, Donga. Huo Yuao was groaning softly. Donga, if you've really left this world, then bring me with you. Don't leave me alone in this world to suffer. Donga, I really miss you. Tears flowed down the corners of his eyes. The senior commanders of the Dalu Empire's Northwestern Field Army couldn't imagine that the young hero in their hearts was actually squirming in his bed right now while crying tears of pain. Huo Yuao wasn't even clear-headed right now. The curtains to his tent were pulled open, and a tall and slender figure walked into his tent. As she heard Huo Yuao's groans, her body turned slightly stiff. After that, however, she continued to walk towards Huo Yuao. Her movements were very slow, as if she found it difficult to walk. However, she suddenly picked up her pace as she came closer to Huo Yuao's bed. She quickly came to his side and sat down by his bedside. His tears had already wet his blanket. Huo Yuao's senses were normally very acute, but right now, he actually didn't know that there was someone else in the tent. He continued to squirm and groan in pain. His face was very pale, and buckets of tears and sweat had already fused together as they flowed down his cheeks. Delicate fingers gently caressed his forehead. The movement of the fingers seemed a little stiff and rigid. Huo Yuao's sweat moistened the white and tender fingers. The fingers seemed to be trembling slightly, and there was a tinge of warmth from them. The lady in the tent was shuddering a little, and was also in a slight state of shock. Donga, don't leave me. Suddenly, Huo Yuao reached out and grabbed her hand. She was astonished, and wanted to retract her hand. However, his grip was very tight. She didn't struggle, but she could sense that his hands were icy cold. It was icy cold to a terrifying point. It was as if he had lost all the warmth in his body. Don't tell me that he's always in such great pain after he uses his hand on palm. It was weird, but Huo Yuao calmed down after grabbing her hand. He stopped shivering as much, but he was still mumbling to himself. However, his pain had evidently been reduced significantly. He's really pitiful. I never thought one could turn out like this from loving someone too much. However, why did he turn his love into a skill? Why doesn't he go and find his lover? Not far outside the tent, there was a person squatting in a dark corner. This person watched as she walked into the tent. A slight smile spread across his face. He slowly stood up. It seemed like he didn't need to stand guard anymore. She didn't come out, even after a long time. This person walked out from the corner. Wasn't he the eternal defense, Shu Sanchi? Huo Yuao was suffering from the backlash of his hand on palm, and his body was very weak. Shu Sanchi understood this the best. This was why he followed Huo Yuao back and stood guard outside his tent as a means of protecting him. However, that lady had been in the tent for a long time without leaving yet. It seemed like he didn't need to carry on with his protection for the rest of the night. He silently left without making a sound. Inside the tent, Huo Yuao had calmed down. His breathing had become more rhythmic, and he was no longer shivering. At times, he would mumble to himself, but he was evidently in less pain. He used both his hands to grab tightly onto her tender fingers. It was as if he were grabbing hold of some life-saving grass. He wouldn't let go of her hands. Slowly, a satisfied grin surfaced on his face. He had fallen asleep. Following this, moonlight shone in from outside the window. From where she was seated, she caught a view of his profile. She was only here because she was worried about him and curious about his condition. However, she discovered that she was unable to leave right now. She could most certainly pull her hand back, but she was afraid of harming him in that way, so she didn't do so. He didn't do anything else either. He only tightly grabbed hold of her hand and squirmed in place. He was falling deeper and deeper into his sleep. This is the generational talent that everyone is in awe of. A bitter look appeared across her face. So he's actually this fragile behind the surface. It seems like he has given too much to attain whatever powers he has. But why is he able to calm down after grabbing hold of my hand? Is it because he feels comforted? She retrieved the handkerchief with her other hand and dabbed at the perspiration on his head. Even she didn't know why she did something as intimate as his. He appeared evidently less tense after she wiped off his sweat. It was as if she possessed some kind of magical power that helped him to calm down. His hands started to regain some warmth, and he stopped holding on so tightly. His body also moved with greater ease. She continued to wipe away his sweat. Slowly, she placed her handkerchief to one side and started to gently caress his hair. He doesn't look too bad. The lines on his face are smooth, and his eyelashes are long. There's some rosiness to his cheeks right now, and the life energy that he's exuding seems to be stronger than anyone else. Unwittingly, she became a little dazed. Just as she was in a daze, he slowly weakened his grip on her hands. Oh. I can finally leave. She gently retracted her hand, which was already covered with sweat. However, she subconsciously clenched her fist, as if she wanted to preserve the warmth that she felt in her hand. After she retracted the hand that she had placed on his head, she silently stood up. He was still sleeping very calmly, and didn't move at all. She silently walked towards the exit of his tent. However, for some reason, she couldn't help but turn back every few steps. His breathing was still as rhythmic as ever. There wasn't any change. Finally, she got to the exit. She turned back and took one last deep look at him. Someone who's so persistent in love like him should be a good guy. Good night, good guy. Morning. The warm sunlight bore down on Huo Yuao's face through the window. The heat jolted him from his sleep. As he opened his eyes and felt the blinding sunlight, he subconsciously used his hand to cover his eyes. Oh, it's already so late. Why am I not up yet? Normally, he would already be cultivating in bed at this time. As he sat up, everything that had happened the previous night quickly surfaced in his mind. Huo Yuao subconsciously took a look at his starlight sapphire ring. In his ring were more than 10 high-altitude aerial surveillance cell tools. Yes, we didn't just manage to successfully steal the high-altitude aerial surveillance cell tools last night. We should have killed the mad bull Douluo too. I used my hard-on palm. After I returned, I was in excruciating pain. But why am I not feeling anything right now? In the past, he couldn't recover in one night after unleashing his hard-on palm. He needed a period of time to fully recover. Furthermore, he would always be very groggy the next day. However, he was filled with energy right now, and his body was completely at ease. There weren't any side effects. It was as if he had had a perfect night's sleep, and had even overslept. Weird. After scratching his head, Huo Yuao stood up and walked out of his tent. The sun was shining brightly today, and the air was very refreshing. As he took in a deep breath, the refreshing air nourished his body, and he was feeling extremely energetic. Huo Yuao was a little amused as he asked himself, why do I feel so relaxed? And why am I in such a good mood? However, he didn't have an answer. No matter what kind of delicacies he consumed, they weren't able to improve his mood to such a stage. However, he was feeling extremely good today. What exactly happened last night? He furrowed his brow and pondered. He could subtly remember that he was in excruciating pain then. However, Wang Donga seemed to have arrived after that and comforted him, alleviating his yearning for her and the pain that he experienced. After that, his pain disappeared, and he fell into a comfortable sleep. Donga, did you really come? Huo Yuao opened his eyes wide. Don't tell me Donga has always been hiding by my side, and she comes when I'm in pain? To comfort me? It's Donga. It must have been her. I must have sensed her aura. He suddenly turned around and charged back into his tent. He leapt onto his bed and took in a deep breath, seeking Wang Donga's scent. However, what scent would be left over after one night? There was only his own smell on his bed. Am I just hallucinating? A strong sense of disappointment left Huo Yuao clenching his fists. However, it was at this moment that his attention was drawn to a corner. He subconsciously reached out his hand and grabbed a squarish handkerchief. This handkerchief was made of silk and felt very soft. It felt like the complexion of a young girl, and there were sweat stains on it. It doesn't belong to me. It clearly belongs to a lady. Huo Yuao looked at the handkerchief a few times. There weren't any markings on it. There was only a gentle fragrance that came from it. Wang Donga. This really seemed like Wang Donga's scent. Don't tell me that my feeling was right. That Donga really came last night to take care of and comfort me, and she helped me out of my pain? Huo Yuao turned a little agitated, and was even unable to control himself. He pulled the handkerchief close to him, and his lips were trembling slightly. But why? Donga, why won't you appear in front of me? Why won't you stay? Don't you know how much I miss you? In the opposite tent, Tang Wutong was in a deep sleep right now. She didn't cultivate the night before. After she returned, she quickly fell into a deep sleep. There was even a slight grin on her face right now. The titles earned by Huo Yuao and the others were quickly conferred to them. No permission was even sought from the imperial family of the Dalu Empire. No matter whether it was accepted, everyone else apart from Huo Yuao was conferred the title of a baron. Huo Yuao was conferred the title of a viscount. Even though the titles of baron and viscount were the two lousiest ones in the peerage system, their titles were able to be inherited. This made them different. This meant that their future generations could enjoy the same titles. However, they weren't given any land for their contributions. 10 million gold soul coins were directly given to Huo Yuao. Such a monetary reward was barely enough for him to purchase a high-altitude aerial surveillance soul tool. 10 million. If the Sun Moon Empire knew about it, they would be infuriated. Just the materials alone cost more than 10 million. However, given their contributions, the reward given by the Dalu Empire was considered passable. After breakfast, the White Tiger Duke personally came to visit Huo Yuao. He was stunned to discover that Huo Yuao was different from how he had been over the past few days. He was full of energy right now, as if he had been given new life. His entire body was filled with strength. He had already washed himself up and changed into a clean set of clothing. Duke. Huo Yuao received the White Tiger Duke. Yuao, you've earned yourself a great merit this time. How are you? The White Tiger Duke asked amiably. Huo Yuao smiled and replied, I'm already fine. Apologies for last night. I always suffer from side effects after using my self-invented soul skill. The White Tiger Duke nodded and said, it's great that you're fine. You've already been conferred a title, which is a decision that Her Highness and I came to after we discussed it with each other. We've lowered the value of your reward mainly because we have to take the feelings of our soldiers into account. Do you understand? Don't worry, we'll report what you've done to His Majesty. I believe he'll have other rewards for you. Huo Yuao smiled and replied, no worries. I'm fine with the rest. It's already good enough that I've been made a Viscount. Did he really only value the title of a Viscount, and one that was hereditary? He had already taken his first step out. Daihao smiled and said, yes, as a Viscount, you can grant your wife and heirs titles too. Given your abilities, your potential is unlimited as long as you're willing to serve the Empire. Huo Yuao's eyes brightened when he heard that his wife and children would be given titles too. However, he was in a good mood today, and managed to conceal his emotions. Duke, has the high-altitude aerial surveillance soul tool been returned to the Dalu Empire? Yes, it's already been sent back. After this time, I believe that the Sun Moon Empire's defenses will become tighter. Wang Yiheng has already been killed, which is a huge blow to them. What other plans do you have in the future? Huo Yuao nodded and replied, I'll continue to pester them. As long as I keep them on their toes and drain their energy, I'll be able to survey the Death God. The White Tiger Duke furrowed his brow and said, you still want to survey the Death God? You can't do that. It's too dangerous. Huo Yuao smiled and replied, Duke, don't worry. Before I'm fully confident, I won't take the risk. What's the Sun Moon Empire's reaction been? Daihao shook his head and said, they haven't reacted yet. I can't wait for them to do something. It's best if they want to exact revenge. After hearing his words, Huo Yuao's eyes flashed. He immediately knew that the White Tiger Duke would have come up with some kind of plan to complement his own plan. No wonder the White Tiger Duke was so notable. Although the Sun Moon Empire's soul engineer legions were strong, the Daluo Empire's soul masters wouldn't be afraid of them if they were detached too far from the defensive system set up in the Mingdao mountain range. The White Tiger Duke naturally wished that the evil tyrant soul engineer legion would lose their cool after Wang Yiheng's death, driving them to attack. However, it seemed like the leader over at the Mingdao mountain range was able to resist such a temptation. It seemed like things were very calm in the Sun Moon Empire. Huo Yuao asked, Duke, I'll make another trip and observe whether they've changed their surveillance soul tool setup. The White Tiger Duke nodded and said, be careful. All right. Huo Yuao was perfectly fine observing them from some distance away, given his immense spiritual power. Surveillance soul tools weren't sensitive towards spiritual power. After an hour, Huo Yuao brought back accurate news. All the surveillance soul tools that belonged to the Sun Moon Empire had been pulled back in the direction of the Mingdao mountain range. This time, he didn't manage to locate any soul tools at all, though he didn't know whether it was because the Sun Moon Empire had pulled all of them back. In this way, the Sun Moon Empire's surveillance on the Daluo Empire's troops would be significantly reduced. After receiving this news, the White Tiger Duke was delighted. With Huo Yuao around, they were no longer devoid of information. Report. An anxious voice could be heard from outside. Come in. The White Tiger Duke, who was in a good mood, gestured towards Huo Yuao. He was signaling to Huo Yuao to sit down and take a rest. Huo Yuao didn't stand on ceremony. He sat down beside the White Tiger Duke's seat. Duke, intelligence from the Heavenly Soul Empire. A soldier rushed in and kneeled down on one knee in front of the White Tiger Duke before passing a letter to him. Intelligence from the Heavenly Soul Empire. It's finally here. Huo Yuao and White Tiger Duke were both jolted. The situation in the Heavenly Soul Empire was extremely important to the Daluo Empire. It could possibly affect the entire war. Daihao quickly tore the letter open. He only scanned it a few times before his expression changed. He turned pale. His hand that was holding onto the letter started trembling. Huo Yuao, who had just sat down, also immediately stood up. From Daihao's expression, he could tell that the situation in the Heavenly Soul Empire wasn't good. You can leave first. Daihao tried to suppress his own feelings and waved to the soldier. The soldier retreated, and only he and Huo Yuao were left in the tent. Huo Yuao didn't probe further. At this point, perhaps the White Tiger Duke needed to calm down. If the White Tiger Duke could reveal anything, he would have told Huo Yuao everything. Yuao, the entire Douluo continent might experience a catastrophe this time. The White Tiger Duke sighed and passed the letter to Huo Yuao. After hearing his words, Huo Yuao's heart sank. After receiving the letter, he read it. The capital of the Heavenly Soul Empire, Heavenly Do City, has been occupied by the Sun Moon Empire. More than one-third of the Heavenly Soul Empire's territory had been taken over, and the Empire is still being invaded at an alarming speed. Everything to the west of the Heaven Do City has landed in the hands of the Sun Moon Empire. The Body Sect's leader, Ubusi, has been seriously hurt, and we are unsure whether he will survive. The Body Sect has lost half of its members, and 4 out of the 6 Soul Master legions of the Heavenly Soul Empire have been destroyed. The remaining 2 are protecting the Imperial family, which is retreating toward the east. The Sun Moon Empire has deployed more than 300,000 soldiers, including 7 Soul Engineer legions. Apart from the evil Tyrant Soul Engineer Legion, the other Beast Lord ranked Soul Engineer legions are all involved in this mission. The Holy Ghost Church has deployed many evil Soul Masters to aid in this mission as well. Ubusi was hurt by 2 evil Soul Masters. One of them appears to be the leader of the Holy Ghost Church. The ultimate Douluo, Long Xiaya, did not make an appearance. Right now, the Heavenly Soul Empire is doomed. The 2 remaining Soul Master legions we have and the reinforcements from the Doling Empire are planning a rendezvous with whatever remaining troops we have. Huo Yuao's expression changed after reading the contents of the letter. Even though he could guess where the Sun Moon Empire was going to attack, he didn't expect their attack to be so ferocious. Since the start of the war, only a few weeks had passed. However, the capital of the Heavenly Soul Empire had already fallen. It was important to note that the Heaven Do City was the first big city on the continent since 10,000 years ago. It was as notable as the Daluo Empire's Daluo City. In just a few weeks, the city had already fallen. The Heavenly Soul Empire's defenses had crumbled. This was completely unbelievable. Given such a speed, the Sun Mon Empire would take at most half to a month's time to completely occupy the Heavenly Soul Empire. When that happened, not only did they threaten the borders of the Daluo Empire and Doling Empire, but they could even threaten Shrek Academy, which was in the center of the 3 empires. The White Tiger Duke and Huo Yuao were both silent in the tent. Such a situation was worse than what they had expected. Yuao, what should we do? The White Tiger Duke suddenly asked. After hearing his question, Huo Yuao knew that even the White Tiger Duke had started to panic, even though he was normally very calm. The Daluo Empire's strength was all concentrated in the west, but they were restrained here by the Sun Moon Empire because of the Mingdao mountain range. Given such a situation, the White Tiger Duke didn't have much of a choice. However, there wasn't a single choice that allowed him to completely deal with the situation they were facing. Retreat. If the Sun Moon Empire tried to force their way over the Mingdao mountain range, we would lose a lot of territory. Our citizens wouldn't have enough time to evacuate either. Continuing to directly fight the Sun Moon Empire is a bad choice to attack against the Death God. Going in without a plan is suicide. We might sacrifice countless lives and suffer irreparable damage without even making progress. Once our losses become too severe, what will we have to fight the Sun Moon Empire? Save the Heavenly Soul Empire. What's there to save? Furthermore, what can the Daluo Empire do if all our forces go over to reinforce the Heavenly Soul Empire? If the Daluo Empire's troops reinforce the Heavenly Soul Empire without guarding Daluo City, how will we be able to react if we are directly threatened by an invasion from an elite force of the Sun Moon Empire from the south? These questions kept on popping up in the White Tiger Duke's head. However, he couldn't find a way to deal with the problem. This was why he asked Huo Yuao. Just like Huo Yuao had predicted, the White Tiger Duke was in a state of panic right now. Suddenly, the curtains were pulled open, and a pale Princess Juju walked in. As soon as she entered, she couldn't help but ask, Duke, what should we do? Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.